feeling before I take the floor. Season or no season? Finish or no finish?
I'm 50-50 right now. I'm 50-50.
Okay.
Because as Udonis...
We got a long show. And we may know more here in the next hour or two.
As Udonis Haslam said, if the Clippers and Lakers leave, what are we staying for?
Well, it sounds like the Bucks could be right there also, so that would be the top three teams, odds makers teams,
exactly.
Right? And that would basically take the heart right out of the playoffs, right?
Adam Silver would. If that were to happen, if the Bucks, Lakers, and Clippers pack up and go, he's shutting it down.
Obviously, we don't want to see that happen.
No.
But let me first say, I loved what the Milwaukee Bucks did. It took me a little by surprise. I think it took the rest of the NBA by surprise.
Because they said they didn't expect this. NBA execs, even the Bucks execs, didn't see this coming.
Nobody saw this coming outside that locker room. And it didn't happen until there were about 5 minutes until tip-off. So I'm sure they were going back and forth very emotionally inside those locker room doors. And if I'm understanding this correctly, LeBron didn't know about this. Lou Williams and Kawhi and the Clippers did not know about this. They had discussed it. They thought there would be a unified front. If they were going to boycott, it would be with a big press conference led by Chris Paul and LeBron James as the two faces of the league, or the two people at the top of the Players Association. And there would be a complete unified front in which all teams would in unity boycott.
Correct.
But the Milwaukee Bucks decided at the last second, literally at the last second, with Orlando ready to play out on the court. The Magic are out there. They're ready to go. They decided, no, this is pretty much a home game for us.
Right.
This is Kenosha, Wisconsin, which might as well be a Milwaukee suburb. It's about 40 miles. You know, some people, I'm sure, commute into Milwaukee to work. And they obviously took this a little more to heart than any other team could, because it's theirs. It's in their home area, state. It's right there for them to have to come to grips with. And George Hill, as the emotional leader of this team, I'm not sure he's the on-court leader, but he's the emotional leader. He is the out-front spokesman, and he had said just a few days ago, we shouldn't even be in this damn place, this bubble,
That's what he said.
And I applaud them, and I congratulate them for taking a very gutsy plunge that became a resounding statement in this country. I got calls, I got texts from all over the country from friends and relatives saying, can you believe this?
No, I didn't.
Wow, they did that.
They did it.
And they were the first big domino to fall. And then all of a sudden, across sports last night, dominoes fell everywhere. And they started it. It was because the Bucks had the guts to plunge. They broke ranks to do it. They went prematurely, but they did it.
But you know who the big dog was? Giannis.
Well, I'm sure he was.
If Giannis says we're playing, they're playing.
No, I got it. I got it. So I did love the statement of it. And again, is it going to end racism in the United States? No. But it was another awakening moment where I can only speak, you know, from the white perspective. I think a lot of white people sat back once again, as they did in those weeks through the protests after the George Floyd murder in Minneapolis. And it was another enlightenment moment. It was another awakening moment of, wow, they are really serious about this. And I was forced to go through a night with no basketball. And you know how much I love my NBA and my NFL. We're going to talk about the NFL in a few minutes here. It hurt, but it hurt in a good way, because it just showed how serious these players are about trying to get something done. Now, I'm going to make this statement one more time. It was naive for anybody, including George Hill and the Bucks, to think that all the protests, all the awakening, all the enlightenment, everything you talked about, eradicating those symbols, those statues, those names, that would eliminate racism within the ranks of the police across this country. Because you know and I know, racist cops are already embedded in their jobs.
That is correct.
They were grandfathered in. They're already there. They're in power. They got a badge. and they got a gun.
Yeah.
And you can't stop their mentality. You hoped that some would be awakened enough to say, maybe I should think twice the next time, maybe.
Right.
But there's one guy or maybe a couple of guys in Kenosha who didn't get that message, and it happened.
Skip, I don't think George Ezra thinks that, you know, after the protest, but what we want is accountability.
Accountability. Consequences.
Yes.
Consequences.
Because as you mentioned, as those cops are embedded, the system is also in place. And people say it's a broken system. It's not. Skip, it's like when you stick the key in your ignition and turn it over, or you push the button and it fires up, the car is not broken. The car did exactly what you were supposed to do when you pushed the button. It cranked. The police system is working exactly how it was supposed to work when they instituted 200 years ago. The system is not broken. Actually, it's working like a finely tuned machine. It's doing everything that they set it up to do.
You can certainly argue. So, I throw this out just to frame all this. We always talk about perspective.
Yes.
In context. Is it possible that some in the bubble are they're suffering such bubble burnout? They're so at wit's end. There's such cabin fever because they've been stuck in that bubble for so long and they don't like it. And the families are to come round 2, which would be the next round of the playoffs, but they're not quite there yet. Is it possible nerves are so frayed that this is a little more of a raw reaction than it would have been had they been playing real basketball at home, you know, with real travel schedules and the whole thing? Maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit. Still, it was a beautiful thing to watch.
Yes.
And still, it prompted a fiery meeting at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Everybody went, coaches, players. They even had some of the family members of Jacob Blake on, I'm sure, on some sort of Zoom call to participate. So this is high, raw emotion.
Correct.
And there was some anger because some of the leaders of the other teams were like, I thought we were going to discuss this and have a unified approach to this, all for one, one for all.
Right.
LeBron was angry in part because of that, because he wanted to be the out front leader. But he also took it personally that the owners haven't done enough.
Right.
So reportedly, he led both his team and, to me, the second best team, or maybe the first best team, the two best teams, Clippers, the two LA teams, walked out in unison. That was the first unified approach of those two teams, right?
Yes.
And he led the charge out the door because they had heard enough or not heard enough during the meeting. So the ranks are split a little bit here because the top two teams, we think you can throw the Bucks in, obviously. They're saying we haven't done enough. All those things are great. The T-shirts, the logos on the floor, the messages on the back of the jerseys, all that's fine, but it wasn't enough. And it didn't obviously stop what happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So now it's Lakers, Clippers, and I would like to think it's more of a threat than a vow, that it's not over yet, and they're going to meet again at 11 Eastern, 8 our time here in the Pacific. And I would hope that they would see their way clear to maybe boycott another couple of games, but to come back and finish the year. And this is my gut feeling on this whole thing. I know they have all discussed, starting with George Floyd, could they do more at home than in the bubble? Well, I'm curious what you think about this, because my 2 cents from a distance are that